Yes, the first thing we always do is talk about our desserts. Did anybody bring a dessert? We'll start there. I guess, ooh, there, Deja has a dessert. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, really? They're all going to be muted? Is this not like we all
Hey,
want to talk about desserts?
or you guys can go ahead and unmute yourself. We can see how this goes. You're all responsible adults. You won't talk over each other, right?
Well, my dessert of the evening is a beautiful carrot cake from Wheatfield's Bakery in lovely downtown Lawrence.
Ooh.
That's right, Wheatfield's Bakery.
Good. That is beautiful. All right. Corolla, do you have a dessert? You always have great desserts.
I actually Googled and I found a queen cake.
Oh, I love it.
But it's really just a yellow cake.
Perfect. Is there anything in the middle or anything, or?
I put some cranberries on, but that wasn't in a recipe. I just did that for myself.
Okay. Anybody else have one? I could share mine. Oh, go ahead.
I made peanut butter cookies, but I got too hungry. I ate too early, so I've had my dessert.
That's good. Well, I made a flourless chocolate cake. I don't know if you can see it.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the kicker is the recipe is from King Arthur's Flour Company. Who knew? Why would they have a recipe for a flourless chocolate cake? I don't know, but it's really good.
So, is it flat?
Yeah, it's just really horribly decadent. Yeah.
Can't see it. Flourless.
Yeah. It's kind of flat. It's kind of really rich and brownie-like. It's lovely. And it has a lot of heavy cream in it, which is sinful on the top.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah,
that library thing, if you get tired of that library thing, Kathleen, come down to Maselli's. We could use another pastry chef.
I'll bring my flourless chocolate cake from the King Arthur Flour Company. It just cracked me up when I saw that. So the movie that we all watched, or even if you didn't, it's okay. We're excited to have you here. Is The Queen, and it's not the British kind, but the drag queen kind. And I've done a little research into this movie, and it's really pretty remarkable. It was, obviously came out in 1968, and it focused on a pageant, a drag pageant from 1967. Interestingly, and I think this might be the first X-rated movie I've ever seen. It was rated X when it came out, which just floored me. I know. I guess it was that scandalous when it came out. But yeah, it was X-rated. And for that reason, I did read that libraries did not have it or have access to it. I don't know if they were lending movies then or not. But it was re-released for the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising a couple years ago, and it did premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. It got great reviews everywhere it was viewed. So just a lot of interesting time capsule and elements in it that I don't know. I was all of 7 at that point, so a bit clueless still, but living vicariously through my oldest sister, who was 10 years older than me and doing all sorts of scandalous things. So yeah, I found it really, really interesting. And I don't know, as you know, Deja Brooks is here, and she just returned from the Miss Gay America pageant. And interestingly, the pageant that's portrayed in this particular movie is very similar. There were like state pageants that all kind of funneled into this national pageant, and so this was the national pageant that was portrayed. So I guess my first question is to Deja, and then Steve Maselli is here with her because he is I guess Deja's #1 critic. I thought you were the #1 fan, but apparently you're the #1 critic.
On Tuesdays.
Yeah. I'd love to know, when you watched the movie, what were the similarities, what were the differences between what you all experienced here recently?
Yeah, so thank you, Kathleen. And thank you all for being here this evening. It's such an honor to be sitting here just discussing this movie. But I wanted to say, I actually just competed for the title of Miss Gay United States.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
okay, for Miss Gay America.
Yes.
And actually, Miss Gay America, there's several drag pageant systems, and the Miss Gay America system is actually the longest running female impersonation pageant system out there for female impersonation or drag. And so the system that we just competed for, the United States pageant, is just still very young, 16 years old. But everything that you saw in the movie still happens to this day. From the cattiness of the queens preparing for the pageant itself to, discussing the wigs and, trying on the makeup and just being catty. I think everyone kind of caught on to that probably throughout the film. Those catty bitches, I think, really is what it comes down to. But I mean, Steve Maselli is the promoter of Miss Gay Kansas United States. And so this was kind of his first time, especially going to nationals, a national pageant. So he definitely got to see a lot of this as well. But everything that you saw in the movie is still happening, especially at the end of the movie when the one didn't even she made the top 5, but obviously she didn't win. And you could tell that she was a little distraught about not winning and how she should have won. But that still happens to this very day, from queens ripping off the crown off of the winner's head to just making a fool of themselves backstage or even on stage sometimes. So I think that might be kind of the highlight sometimes of going to a pageant. You get to see that as well.
Well, so can you describe the process that took you to the Miss Gay United States pageant?
Yeah, so I competed for the pageant system about 10 years ago for Miss Gay America, and I have set out, well, almost for 10 years, because I focused on a charity event here in Lawrence called Transformations, and so, which was really about just giving back to our community. And so finally, this system, the Gay United States system, like I said, is a newer system that's up and coming. And I had a good friend who was crowned the national title holder. And so it made sense that Kansas steps up and brings a preliminary to the system, which thanks to Steve Maselli, that happened this year. And so what better way than to compete for something that's in your own backyard? So Miss Gay Kansas was held at Maselli's in March. And so myself, along with 3 other contestants, competed for that title. One from Kansas City, another one from Lawrence, and then a trans individual from Oklahoma. And so myself and London Rains from Oklahoma received our golden tickets to nationals.
Okay.
And so that flash forward to November, we went to Roanoke, Virginia to compete for that title. And
Awesome.
just what you saw on the film, the documentary last night, or whenever you watched it, there's categories. They do evening gown and they do swimsuit. Thankfully, they do not do swimsuit in Miss Gay United States because my body is not quite ready for a swimsuit. But we have talent and evening gown and onstage question and interviews. So a lot of the same categories that they showed in the documentary.
So were all the states represented, or just,
No,
like how many
so
contestants
this,
were
like
there?
I said, a newer system.
Mhm.
And so they had 27 contestants, 24 of which showed up for nationals. We are in a pandemic here with COVID, but we were able to travel. And so we went and wore our masks when needed. And when we weren't on stage, we were in our masks and trying to keep everyone safe. But yeah, so there were 24 contestants.
Okay.
So, but it was from coast to coast. They had Oregon to New York. So
That's great. So Steve, what were your observations from this adventure? I mean, was this the first pageant you've attended, or other than the one at Maselli's?
Yes, but luckily I was able to enjoy the pageant from the audience in
Yes.
a great seat, and I enjoyed wonderful entertainment for 3 days. I did not feel the stress and the pressure that Deja experienced. So our experiences might have been a little bit different. I would say the one thing that was hard about the pageant was each night competition started at 9 p.m. And each night it finished about 2:33 a.m. Usually I became a fan of drag 20 something years ago as a grad student at KU. It was very inexpensive entertainment in Kansas City. It was very close by. And I've had an admiration for this form of entertainment for a long time. So knowing Deja's alter ego has been kind of a blessing, and he's a wonderful friend.
Well, and you all kind of traveled with an entourage. It wasn't just Steve. You had quite a few people and you did not travel light either. There was a lot of luggage involved.
No. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Deja can talk about all the luggage, but what was quite funny was being in Roanoke, we had to take a puddle jumper from Charlotte to Roanoke. And that's one of those planes that has 2 seats on one side, 1 seat on the other, and you step up onto a little platform, and they basically check all your luggage. So everything was pretty much checked, and it was divided up among
balanced.
Deja. No, I was just going to say, one thing about being in a bar during COVID, I felt the need to keep my mask on the whole time. So I've never spent so much time in a bar, let alone gay bar, without having a cocktail. And perhaps that's why I did not fall asleep, having to be awake till 3 a.m. Had I had a cocktail or two, I would have been asleep. So it was a new experience. But we went to IHOP about 4 o'clock in the morning, the first night. That was, we had the only booth in the restaurant, and Deja was quite a hit with the IHOP staff.
I bet. I could only imagine.
Well,
Probably.
the part that left out was I was in full face, full body, and I was hurting very badly from my corset and my 18 pairs of dance tights and pantyhose and everything else. And so I could barely walk. I could barely breathe, let alone try to eat. So as we were sitting there at our booth, everything just slowly started coming off, from the earrings to the nails to trying to, let out my corset as much as I could so that way I could somewhat enjoy. But the staff really did enjoy coming and visiting with us, because something new and flashy at IHOP at 4:30 in the morning.
That is great.
But no, we did. We got to travel. I had 4 backup dancers, and so they traveled with, and from here in Lawrence and Kansas City. And then I have a friend that came down from New York, and so we had a nice little cheering section, which was great. It's one thing to compete or perform in your hometown when you know your fans and know your audience, but when you are, on a national stage and you may know a handful of people, it's great to be able to hear some cat calls or some hollering from those friends who are there supporting you. So, yeah.
Well, and those of you who've seen the Facebook movies, you can hear Deja's #1 critic screaming from through his mask from the audience. So that was lots of fun to hear you, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you go to the Miss Gay Kansas United States Facebook page, you'll see lots of videos and pictures from both of our contestants, Deja and London, and they're quite fun. They're enjoyable, very much so.
And a shout out to London. London was my first alternate to Miss Gay Kansas, and she actually went on and did so well. She was 20 points from actually winning the national title. So she came in first alternate for Miss Gay United States. So
wow.
She was amazing both nights, and I was really cheering her on to take that crown, but it was literally down to 20 points. So
Oh, that's
very
amazing.
tight contest.
That's great. Well, just a reminder, if you do have a question, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we can entertain those.
I was going to say we are going to probably add another category
Oh,
this upcoming year because there are lots of different categories in this system. Another one is Miss Gay Kansas at Large. That is another female impersonator category and drag queen category. I think we also have, oh, help me, Brandon, because when I'm on the spot, my memory goes. But I think we have male impersonators.
Right. 5. There's 5 altogether. Yeah. So you have Miss, Mr.
mhm.
You have a male illusion, which is typically a drag king, and you have a femme fatale, which is a woman who likes to
Camp it up.
dress in drag, and then you have at large. And oh, I'm sorry, there's 6, and then a Mr. at large. So
Wow.
6.
Well, the question from the chat is from Jill Behringer. Who judges these competitions?
Well, Steve can answer that for the state level.
Well, for Kansas, I wanted to give it a little bit of political credibility, if you want to call it that, or some Kansas credibility. So we did have the a former Miss Gay United States pageant winner from 2 years ago. We had Tabby Cat, who's been a national title holder. She's been national title holder, right? No,
Correct.
at least
Lewis.
lots of titles. And she was my consultant for transformations, and she was my winning consultant, and I kind of won. So I had to have her come. We had to have the mayor of City of Lawrence come. Jennifer Ananda was the mayor, so she gave some street cred. But then also, you know, we needed kind of the governor.
Yeah.
But, you know, our present governor is kind of busy. So I got the next best thing, Kathleen Sebelius.
Perfect.
So, and then we also had a burlesque dancer from Kansas City. So we had five judges. We had a nice eclectic group. And I think they had probably just as good of a time, but the pressure was on them. So.
Sounds like it. Well, you know, in the movie, I believe one of the judges was Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
I saw a quick glance of him, and
Good catch. Good catch.
yeah, no, there was a lot of celebrities in there. George Plimpton, and apparently at the after party, remember, is it Erica Jong who wrote Fear of Flying, that scandalous book way back when? She was at the after party. So all sorts of kind of good stuff out of that. We have a couple more questions from the chat. Paula is asking at IHOP, how many of your group were dressed in as drag queens? Were you the only contestant that was there?
Yeah, so it was myself in drag, and then Steve and a friend of mine. The 3 of us went for a early late breakfast. But yeah, I was the only one in drag. But to go back to the other question,
Sure.
so Steve had 5 judges for Miss Kansas, and then there were 7 judges at the national level. And those ranged from former title holders to former promoters, all within the system. So they definitely know what they were looking for, and were able to judge accordingly on what was being presented both evenings. So
That's great.
One thing that was a little different about both, one contrast I would say is, you know, our pageant was very well advertised with the community, you know, on Facebook, media, people were talking about it. But the national pageant, you know, there wasn't, it was in a club without any windows, without a sign. It was kind of a, it seemed very quiet little thing that was going on in Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah. Not a lot of promotion.
Well, even for the documentary, you know, they were talking about trying to find a hotel that would have so many vacant rooms, and then a hotel that would even allow, cross-dressing to be taking place, and then to have a venue that would host such a thing. But the park where Miss Gay United States was held is one of the oldest gay and lesbian bars in the United States. I think it's the third oldest. And so, like Steve was saying, there's no sign. It's kind of in a hidden location.
Warehouse district of some sort.
Okay.
It had that vibe of like, what we're doing is wrong, so don't flash it out there. But, drag is so mainstream at this point that,
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaways. Yeah, it's so not, as scandalous, at least as it was during the movie. So maybe it just makes it a little more fun to be in a hidden location. It's kind of like when you go to John Brown Underground and there's no sign on the door and you just kind of go down the cellar and, have your drink. Shelley had a question about explaining what the at-large contestant is. Is that?
So, at large or plus size, so you have to be of a certain weight
Okay.
in order to compete. And I just went to the doctor yesterday and got my weight taken, and I actually fit in that little at large.
Which means, because once you get a title, Deja is no longer able to compete for the title of Miss Gay Kansas, United States, because she earned it. But she can now compete for Miss Gay Kansas, United States at large. So she can still go once again to nationals and represent Kansas. Because otherwise, if Deja wanted to go back and compete in the Miss again, she would have to either go to another pageant in the area. Would be convenient. Missouri just added the pageant. We were the two newbies, two of the newcomers this year, Kansas and Missouri. Deja could also go to Nebraska. That's very convenient. But then Deja would be competing for, on behalf of another state. And I think Deja's heart's really in Kansas.
Okay. So there's another question, this one from Paula. Does Deja use a different voice tone or style when performing or while competing?
Yeah, I think you just get the same voice for everything I do. At one point, I think I tried to like soften my voice and be all seductive, but I'm like, when you're holding a microphone, you just go with what you're given. So I don't really change my voice.
That's great.
Yeah, maybe I should.
I need to learn how to do chat, but I have a question about the different talents.
Sure.
What the different talents are. Oh,
yeah, that's a great question.
Sorry.
That's right. I can mute you.
Yeah, I can too.
There we go.
That was a cute little phone call or whatever that was, a little ring-a-dingy. My talent, which I took to Kansas, and then we changed it and enhanced it a little bit, was from the Broadway show of Moulin Rouge, and we did Sparkling Diamonds. So that was my talent that I took, like I said, with 4 dancers. But there were talents from every range, from live singing to tap dancing to burlesque to
super splits on the dance floor, on the stage.
Lots of throwing yourself on the dance floor into splits and high kicks, which at the age of 40, and even at the age of 20, I never did the splits. So they were not going to be getting that from me. So, but yeah, I mean, really anything you can imagine, they're bringing to the stage for talent.
That's great. Can I ask about the question? You said there was a question. So what was it and how did you answer it?
Well, I had a question. There's a Q&A, an onstage question, which I got to answer at Kansas, but unfortunately I did not make the top top 12 at nationals, so I did not get to answer an onstage question.
Okay. I was curious as to, what they ask in
Yeah,
general.
they so they narrowed it down. The 24 contestants were narrowed down to 12, the top 12. And then the top 12 compete again, and they can change their talent. They can change their evening gown and things like that from the preliminary night. And then the top 5, they go to a top 5, and those top 5 then answer an onstage question. And
Okay.
really pertains to the system.
Mhm.
How can you grow the system? What will you do for the system? What does the system mean to you? What are your values, and what can you bring, to the system for growth, etc.
When I remember you had mentioned that you connect with a particular charitable cause if you were to win, and we thought yours was awesome.
Yeah.
You
Well,
could talk more about that.
So I am very fortunate to be able to host Deja's Reading Rainbow at the Lawrence Public Library. And it's taking place this Sunday, December 12th, I think or the 13th, whatever day Sunday is, at 3:30. So you can tune in on Facebook Live for Deja's Reading Rainbow at 3:30. But anyways, we're going into our 5th year of hosting Deja's Reading Rainbow. And so I would love nothing more than to take Deja's Reading Rainbow on the road. And so one goal that I have for when I win a national title is to, go to different cities, different states, and perform on a Saturday evening, and then really work with the community on a Sunday and host Deja's Reading Rainbow across the United States. And so bringing that diversity and that love across the United States, and just giving back to everywhere I get to travel.
Wonderful. Sharon, did you have a question? I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I did. I had a different impression when I saw the movie. One of the things that impressed me incredibly was really how supportive. I mean, at the end, yes, things fell apart.
Mhm.
Was incredibly supportive those people were to one another. And the very moving stories that they told, either about acceptance or about ostracization by their family or their communities. And I thought, I was really amazed at some of the stories. They were as contemporary as I think they are now. And I also, I thought some of it was very loving and supportive. That's all I wanted to say. It was a very, it was a documentary that felt more like a home movie.
Mhm.
It was pretty raw.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Sharon, I don't know if you noticed, but in the documentary, I think he was the stage manager or something. His mom, was right there with him, helping out. And if I would have allowed my mom to travel, she would have been there. She actually attends pretty much everything I do. And she was actually quite upset that I did not allow her to travel during COVID to attend nationals. But she's been to nationals and has even competed with me for the Miss Gay America pageant. She was in my talent number a couple of times. And so I am very fortunate to be able to have the support from her. But you're right, there's so many individuals out there that don't have the support. And so they look to their friends and their new family, of the drag world for that love and that acceptance. And so I think even, during nationals, you kind of felt that too when some of the people were answering their questions, because they truly were giving a heartfelt answer from their past experience, their life and where they are, how they got there, what they had to go through in order to get to where they are now. It's very moving, and you're definitely right. I definitely notice the cattiness, and that's what I said earlier. I noticed the cattiness, but I love the fact that you were able to look through that and see the love and acceptance that were given to those individuals.
Hey, listen, girls can be catty.
Tell me about it.
Well, yeah, and speaking of that, I noticed on the website for the Miss Gay United States, there's like a section of people who are banned. There's a list of people. What is that?
Yeah, so that's, let's say if I were to win Miss Kansas, which I did, and I didn't go to nationals,
Mhm.
I could be banned for 2 years.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I, for some reason, did something to relinquish my title or have to give up my title. I could be banned for a couple years.
If
Okay.
you did not pay the promoter back for all the prizes.
Ah, okay.
And a variety of things like that.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was because you.
And we're not truthful about who you are, or,
Okay.
simple things like that.
Yeah, that really jumped out at me. I was wondering, ooh, did they turn on their fellow contestants or something like they did at the end of the movie?
Possibly.
Yeah. No, I thought the sort of time capsule piece about Vietnam was really interesting. The conversation among a couple of them about, when they went to see the recruiters or to the draft board and, we're not able to be drafted, but it was funny, but it was also, just kind of a blast from the past in terms of those sorts of conversations during that era. So
Is anyone
1960
old enough to remember Arlo Guthrie's Alice's Restaurant, where he goes to the place where he's supposed to be conscripted? Anybody ancient enough to know about?
You're going to have to give us more details, Sharon.
It's a hoot because it's a little rude. I'm not going to, but he talks about all the different categories of difference.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them are really very rude, and it's just wonderful. It's Alice's Restaurant, and I'm sure it's online, and it's a long story. And he just retired right now he's about, I don't know, 77, 79. He's just retiring, and it is an anti-war statement. And one of the things is he's trying not to be taken in. And one of the things is, if you're gay, they wanted to ban homosexuals, and he tried his darndest. And it is a very funny routine. I highly recommend it.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Question from Jill. Do we know what happened to the winner of the movie pageant? I don't know.
I was waiting for her to toss her little pipe cleaner crown, in the subway. I didn't really catch on to that little tiny crown that was it literally looked like pipe cleaners.
I thought it was weird too.
Some old earrings hung from the top for little dangling jewels. But I kept waiting for her to either chuck it or pass it to the cute little girl that was sitting next to her in the phone booth. I thought, oh, she's going to pay it forward. But no, I don't know where are they now?
Yeah.
She go on to, work on her makeup and work on her skills and compete again. Yeah.
Well, the person I thought was just great was the MC, Queen Sabrina, Flawless Mother. What did she describe herself as? Oh gosh, she was really great, and apparently, her alter ego is Jack DeRochow. Is that right? DOROSHOW, who very famous guy in New York. And there's a story in Rolling Stone that talks about him and just his experiences, and in the world of drag and all of the pageants that they were able to put together and how really innovative and incredible it was for the time. And he just died not too long ago.
Are you talking about the one who said he was like a pushy bar mitzvah mother?
Yes, exactly. I was trying to get that exact description. I thought what a wonderful character, and apparently was just the energy behind the pageant system, the national pageant system. And at one point they pointed out that it was, the largest employer of LGBTQ people in New York at the time, the pageant system there and the national event. So it it really was quite a contribution. And, you know, people, there's a scene, I guess, in Pink Flamingo, the movie with John Waters, where there's a picture of of her behind them on the wall. So apparently there's lore, lots of significance attached to that particular character. She's pretty cool. So, well, there was another question about Deja, your alter ego. What is your day job? Like, what do you do when you're not Deja?
Am I? I don't even know anymore. So my given name is Brandon Eisman. Some of you may know me. But, pre-COVID, I was traveling the world as a corporate event planner and getting to go to some amazing destinations and plan big parties. But thanks to COVID, I am now working as an administrative assistant / marketing coordinator for Newvant House, which is a memory care facility here in town. So I have a loved one who resides there, and I now get to see her every day, as well as make a little extra money since I'm not able to travel and work. So yeah.
I will also add that Brandon is a member of the Lawrence Public Library Friends and Foundation Board. We're very proud to have him as one of our important board members who, gosh, he contributes so much to the library that it's, the list is long. So we're really, really grateful for all the service that you give to the library. Do you want to talk about transformations a little bit more? I know that Steve, you actually, as you kind of alluded to earlier, had competed and won one year. And I'd love to hear more about sort of how that idea came about and maybe explain a little bit of, what the goals are and the mission of that particular event is.
Yeah, so transformations, in 2020, we had our 9th competition. And so transformations started out what was going to be a fundraiser for me to compete for Miss Gay America. But instead I went to nationals and I came back, and that was in October. And in January, we held our first transformations event, which was known as Transformations by Invitation Only. And you had to be invited to attend. And it started off with us not telling people what they were coming to, but it was women being paired with female impersonators or drag queens. We went with female impersonators 9 years ago because it was much softer on the ears. But now drag is so mainstream that we can say drag queens. And so we had drag consultants from Kansas City and St. Louis paired with 10 women who competed for local charities, winning up to $10,000 in a pageant style setting. So these women competed in evening gown and talent and onstage question, like I said, for a charity of their choice, and then winning $10,000. So we did that for 5 years, and then we had an all-star year, which we were at the Lead Center. We went to the Lead Center where 13 women came back from the past 49 that competed again for the All-Star year. Well, then we went back to what drag is really. The basis of drag is dressed as girl. And so what better way to do that than to bring on the men? And so this year was our 3rd year letting men compete in drag. And so the first year was amazing. It was one thing for the women to be able to pull out their diva selves, for one night. Maybe these ladies haven't worn heels in 20 plus years or heels at all, let alone wearing makeup. But then when you throw men into the picture, men who may have never even touched a pair of heels, let alone lipstick or thought about breasts or hips or nails or eyelashes or duct tape and shaving and everything in between, it really takes the event to a whole nother level. And so Transformations, like I said, just finished its 9th year in January 2020. And so, hi, Oliver. And so, so Steve Maselli competed for the RAP program Bert Nash's rap program and actually was the winner his
Oh,
year.
excuse me while I put this on. Check out my jewels
It is
here.
beautiful. It is way better than the pipe cleaner crown
Thank
that the gal in
you.
the
It
movie
lives in
got.
a Pennsylvania house china cabinet. If that
Ooh.
doesn't date me.
It's you. I think
Oh,
it's
thank you.
awesome. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but Transformations truly is transforming our community through culture and awareness. And so the fact that we can bring awareness to a charity that you might not have heard about before is really doing something. You know, Lawrence has over 500 nonprofits, and everyone knows about the Humane Society or Big Brothers Big Sisters, but you might not know about, oh my gosh, there's so many that you might not know about. Maybe Legacy of Hope or Rainbow Kids and Families, or there's, gosh, so many. But what Transformations does is allows those charities to be represented and to get their name out there, so that way you walk away learning something about a new charity that you might not know about.
And I would love to emphasize that, because I think about how much fun I had dancing with my dancers on stage at Liberty Hall. But the most powerful memory that I have was taking that opportunity and explaining what rap social workers do in our schools every day, and being able to sing their praises to 600 people who, I'll bet you more than half of them had no clue what rap was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest successes, I think, of transformations is educating the community and teaching them about all these little nuanced organizations that are out there to help us be a better community and help our community members be better human beings.
Well, and it's become so popular, it's almost impossible to get a ticket for that event. I mean, it's just, you have to be on it and get ready to just hit the send button to get a ticket. So kudos to you for creating this blockbuster event that everybody in the community really wants to go to and be a part of. So it's brilliant, really. So congrats. It's awesome. It's what all of us in the development world, aspire to. It's having an event that everybody wants to come to.
Travel the world, spreading transformation. So
That's right. No, it's a wonderful idea. So Steve, when you were competing, what was that experience like? In terms of like the process and coming up with your idea and who you were. Did you have like a coach or somebody helping you, or how did that work?
I did. I had a dance coach, but I also had a friend who taught dance, and they really helped me along with my dancers to hone my act. But I would say the first year, it was really hard for me to decide if I wanted to do transformations or not, because I had to have an organization that I could dedicate myself to. And I really wanted to feel it. I wanted to live it. I wanted to really make a difference. And I had a friend who worked for Bert Nash and started the rap program.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, she took her life about 9 years ago. And so I dedicated all my efforts, and I was determined to win, to help this program that she started many, many years ago. And I think about, when I sat with all the rap social workers and some more Bert Nash staff, and I just sat there and sobbed the whole time. I just couldn't stop sobbing. And it was all about, if only Amy could see what her program had become, starting off in the high schools, and now all of a sudden it's in all the schools and it's really making a difference. She'd be so happy.
Yeah, it's a wonderful program. It reaches so many kids. It's amazing.
So I was lucky because I had great answers because of the situation and my charity and the situation and the reasons why I did it.
Yeah. Well, and those are the best reasons,
That's right.
Yeah,
There's power in those words. So
that's great. Well, does anyone else have other questions or comments? I guess we usually do kind of a rating of the movie by holding up the number of fingers that you would rate from 1 to 5 for the movie, 1 being not so great and 5 being spectacular. So, do we dare vote? You want to try that?
Sure, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, 4, 3.5, 4, something like that. Yeah, looks like we're all about on the same page. Yeah, it was hard to get around, not to get around the time part of it because it is obviously an older movie, and thankfully things have really changed, and for the better. And so, but I don't know, it's the more you look into it, into the history of the movie itself, it was extraordinary. I mean, it was extraordinary. It was, during a time in New York where homosexuality was illegal. The guy who was the MC, the woman, Queen Sabrina, he mentioned that he was arrested at least 100 times in New York for wearing eyeliner. I mean, that's how different it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was illegal to be gay in New York, and that was in 1968, which that was my lifetime. I don't feel that old, right?
It was also illegal to wear more than 2 articles of clothing that were not of your gender. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was an
So
easy.
think of how amazing it was for them to make this movie when in that environment. I mean, it was just really brave, and I think that's why it's considered, one of the, kind of most interesting documentaries of its type. And I know Sharon, you had brought up Paris is Burning as sort of the really breakout, famous documentary, but this was made. That was in 1990, I believe that came out. So, yeah, just I don't know. I was really taken by the historical part of it.
I had a question.
What about all the musicians? I mean, I kept thinking about Bowie and all of them, and all the musicians later who are wearing eye makeup and mascara. I know I went to a university in New York in which women were not allowed to wear trousers.
Yeah.
Unless it was a legal snow day. I mean, things were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paula, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to share that to me, it was, I don't know how many of us, I know what drag queen is, I know in general, but it was such an eye opener for me to see what all is involved in. I didn't know all this, you named everything a little bit ago, Deja, the corsets and I just had no idea that there was that much work to carry it out. And so,
yeah.
And I even mentioned to a couple of friends, it's still odd. I mean, I mentioned the show and then I used the word drag queen and I still had these reactions like, ooh, and it was like, there is still enough, doors are opening, but I was very surprised that they really didn't know what I was talking about or they backed away from it. I was really proud of the show.
RuPaul does ads for Old Navy for Christmas, for God's sakes, on television.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, women are blessed to have hips and amazing bodies. Where men, we are straight as can be, sometimes, and we have to enhance our bodies. So everything from hips, my hips, are allowing me to have the curvature of the body. I add a butt, I add breasts, I add everything, but I also wear 3 to 4 pairs of dance tights with then 3 to 4 pairs of pantyhose on top of that, just to make sure that you're not seeing my hip pads, so I can have smooth legs, and then throw on a pair of fishnets on top of that, just to make sure you don't see any outlines. But then it's girdles and corsets and everything you can imagine to duct tape, truly being able to give that hourglass figure.
Yeah.
I did not do that for you this evening. I thought I would just wear something oversized so I didn't have to show off my my body. But yeah, and then nails to hair to eyelashes, and right now I'm wearing 3 sets of eyelashes just to fill out my face. And but
A
yeah,
very expensive hobby.
goes into
It sounds like it's very complicated. But what fun though. Well, and Shelley pointed out in the chat that, obviously society has changed, but the pageant process, like you were talking before, really has not really changed that much.
no, there's still that, that need to win a title and to represent. And yeah, and so everything that we saw in the documentary is still happening,
Yeah.
in the drag world. There are 4 or 5 national titles or national pageant systems that are here in the United States. So from Miss Gay America to Miss Gay United States to US of A system, All American Goddess, Entertainer of the Year. So there's Continental. So there's so many drag avenues for people to be able to hone in on their talents and skills and their art to be able to.
Well, this has been so fun and enlightening. We're bumping up on 8 o'clock, so we'd like to try to keep these to an hour. But before we go, I want to just give just a quick rundown of our next retirement boot camp monthly event is Wines Around the World on December 17th at 5 p.m. And our feature for the holidays are sparkling wines. So be sure to tune into that. And it's on the library's website, the registration information. And then, of course, every Friday at 10 o'clock, we have our coffee break where we talk about pretty much whatever comes to our mind, from small appliances to holiday decor. And then bingo is on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock, except this week it was at 3 because of KU basketball. But I really want to give a shout out to Deja Brooks and Steve Maselli. Thank you so much. Bravo. So wonderful of you all.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, to share your time. It was really, really, really great. So I hope that you will continue to jump in and join us for these programs. And thank you so much. And if you are interested in any of the retirement bootcamp stuff and want me to email you, just shoot me an email. And I'm happy to share that info for you. Shelley, do you have something?
Yes. Kathleen, has a movie for next month been picked out?
Not yet. That sounds like a good conversation for our coffee break. If anybody has some suggestions, we are all ears, because it's always good to get ideas from our attendees, because we've had some really, really great programs. So we don't want to break the streak. So help. We appreciate it. So,
Well,
all right.
To not say one more thing, it just wouldn't be me. So, sorry, Kathy. I have
Go for it.
the Lawrence Public Library has truly supported Deja Brooks, not only with Deja's Reading Rainbow, but right now you can go to LPL Foundation and purchase a cross-stitching of Deja Brooks. So if you guys are cross-stitchers, they have an amazing cross-stitching kit that has Deja Brooks on it with several of my fun sayings, from "Hey Poodle" to "Shitty Kitty" to "Pride." So if you're a cross-stitcher, you can purchase one of those, or one of the kits. And if you just want to have the actual instructions to one of those fun sayings, you can purchase that too. But you can go to that website. Thank you, Vanna or Logan, for putting that on there. The kit is $30 and the instructions are $10. So be sure to support the Friends and Foundation with that. And thank you again, Kathleen, and all of you guys for having me a part of this. I really enjoyed the evening.
Yes, thank you. It was wonderful. Yeah, buy your cross-stitch kits. They make great holiday gifts. Everybody needs a Shitty Kitty pillow on their sofa. So anyway, take care, and we hope to see you again next week, if not earlier. So bye-bye.
Bye.